In this video, we will be taking a look at the Drop Etymotic ERX. Now, this is the latest in a long line of Drop's collaborations with different audio brands. So let's see what they bring to the table. But first, let me preface this by saying that this review won't be featuring any frequency response graphs. If you want to check those out for yourself, I'll leave links in the video description so you can see them. I approach audio by listening to my favorite music and then giving you my opinions and thoughts. If that is not your cup of tea and you feel like dipping out of this video, there's no hard feelings. Secondly, Drop sent over the Etymotic ERX free of charge for testing and review. However, there was no monetary compensation involved. I want to tell you this up front for transparency as to how I got my hands on an early review sample. So let's jump straight into it. So first up, what are the Etymotic ERX? So let's take a quick look here. Let's jump over to the actual website here. Let's see where we at. Bam, there we go. So that's the Drop Etymotic ERX in-ear monitors. So essentially, these are a combination of two of Etymotic's IEMs blended into one. So they took the balanced armature driver out of the Etymotic ER4XR and combined it with the shell of the Etymotic Evo. Unfortunately, I never had a chance to try the ER4XR or Evo, so I can't tell you how they would compare to each other. Now, just to be completely clear, this is my first time experiencing a set of Etymotic IEMs. So you will be getting my raw impressions of what they sound like and sort of my own overall experience here. So let's move over to the top-down angle and let's see what comes inside the box. So first up, you got the box itself. It feels like a recycled material. It doesn't exactly say it on the box, but you got the Drop branding, Drop Etymotic, and then on the back, tells you the contents. Pretty straightforward stuff. So let's pop it open. It's pretty straightforward. ERX and accessories. So in here you've got your carry case, Drop branding right on the front. Pretty nice. So set that aside. Then you get your accessories right here. So here's a bunch of ear tips. Got a whole bag full of ear tips there. And last but not least, we've also got a filter tool along with two little filters on the inside if you ever want to swap those out. I actually didn't. I left it how it was, but you do have those in there as well. Now, when it comes to the ear tips, they do give you a ton of different options here. So they give you the double flanges, the triple flanges, and then the big single flanges. So you have a ton of different options right inside. So now inside here, we're going to have the actual earbuds themselves. So you get the actual earbuds right here. These are the IEMs themselves, plus the cable right there. So let me take these out. And we got the cable. Nice little case. And it's even got a little slot right here if you want to put some ear tips in there if you're going to be carrying these around. Let's get that out of the way. Let's get that out of the way. So then you have the cable itself right here. So overall, it's not bad. I mean, it's about 4 feet long, about 1.2 meters. Got a little tangled up here, though. Look at that. Man, good Lord. So yeah, so 4 feet long, about 1.2 meters. It's got a 3.5 millimeter jack on it, so just a standard headphone jack. Doesn't come with a balanced option, unfortunately. I really would have loved to see that if they would have come with some that had the swappable plugs, so you could put a 4.4 or a 2.5. It would have been kind of nice to see that in the box. Sadly, they didn't include it. On the other end here, these are using the Estron T2 connectors, which this is actually my first IEM ever having these exact connectors on it. Kind of a trip, but overall not bad. I mean, they use a very light tug to go ahead and pull them off of there, so no real issues there. So overall pretty good. A thin cable, thinner than I would personally prefer, but overall it's not bad. Then you've got the IEMs themselves. Now the build quality, let me go ahead and punch in a little bit here. So got a little shaky there. So the build quality itself is actually surprisingly good. I believe it's some sort of like stainless steel or even some sort of like a metal, because they do feel cool to the touch. They have a bit of heft to them, so they don't feel like plastic or anything like that. So they're not as light as plastic, but they're nowhere near as heavy as some of the heaviest IEMs in my collection, like the ICO OH10. So nothing along those lines. Now, matte black, as you can sort of see, kind of like a satin black, if anything. And you've got the subtle branding, well, actually not so subtle branding. You got the D Drop logo here and the Eddy logo here. Personally, I would have preferred them to not have any sort of branding on them. I think it would look a lot cooler if they just kind of had that stealth kind of look to them, but it is what it is. So I don't really, it's just more of a personal aesthetic preference, if anything. So yeah. And then also, obviously, you can remove and replace the cables that are included here. But if you actually are looking for a different cable, they're a little bit tougher to find, but you can find some on like Sweetwater or on 64 Audio. If you're looking for a balanced cable, you do have some other options on the market. A little expensive though, but you do have some different options available to you. Now, one of the things that I do want to talk about here is the fact that comfort. Right? When it comes to in-ear monitors, we do have to talk about comfort. The shape of the IEMs, they actually fit my ears perfectly. The shell of the ERX is the same as the Etymotic Evo. It's designed with, ergonomics in mind. So they do fit my large ears perfectly. However, despite these not being the usual Etymotic design, they do indeed sit deeper in my ear compared to the other IEMs in my collection. So kind of to give you a sort of a close-up here, so you can kind of see it here. They do stick out kind of far. So you see how far that tip is sticking out. So it's got a very long stem on it, just to kind of keep that in mind. So they will sit a bit deeper. And I believe that's exactly what they want. That's sort of what they're going for. While they are mostly comfortable in my experience, I did have a little bit of ear soreness after having them in for about an hour on the first go. So something to keep in mind. Now, obviously tip choice is going to play a major role here, more so with Etymotic IEMs than with most others. And as I said before, they do include both the single flange, like the ones I'm using here, along with some of the double and triple flange. Sadly, I could not get a proper seal from either the double or triple flange tips, no matter how deep I tried to push. They were both medium sized, that's all they included, and I believe they're simply too narrow to get me a proper seal and adequate isolation when trying those on. So only the large single flanges right here, these were the only ones that actually gave me a proper seal to where I felt, proper isolation. So that was what I ended up having to test with. So moving over to the actual testing, just to kind of get that out of the way and let you know kind of how I did it. All the testing was done after about 20 to 25 hours worth of burn time on these IEMs. Now for music listening, I used my HiFi hip DAC. Hold on, I actually got it charging right here. So I was using my HiFi hip DAC as for the mobile setup. So had this plugged in, and I was streaming Koba Studio FLAC 24-192 music. And then also for the desktop stack, I was using my SMSL SH6 and SU6 combo while still using Kobas once again, along with some locally stored FLAC and WAV files. So we have that covered as far as where the music came from, at least my source audio. The ERX themselves have 47 ohms of impedance. So you will want a decent amp in order to drive them properly. So just keep that in mind. So now let's get into the sound quality portion here in just a sec. I'm going to go ahead and plug these in because it kind of irks me having them unplugged like that. But let's see, let me go ahead and pop these on here and I'll show you kind of what that looks like here. But it's pretty straightforward because it's just a simple little plug, just a little lug that goes right on in there. A little click, and that's it. Now, mind you, for me, I'm one of those people that's not a fan of MMCX, and when I first saw these, I thought that these were going to be MMCX. For me personally, the MMCX is a bit of a pain in the ass, if I'm being completely honest. They always tend to get stuck on me, and I can't never wrench them off, and I always feel like I'm going to rip them. So these were actually just take a little light, like a mild tug to install them and to pull them out. So overall, very, very good. So now, let's talk that sound quality here. First up, if I could describe in 2 words what the sound would be, it would be balanced and natural. But let's go ahead and break it down a little bit further. So first, let's start with the bass. Now, this is probably the most relaxed bass I have ever experienced on any set of IEMs that I've ever tried. So there's no bloat or boost in the lower frequencies. So if you are a certified bass head, these are simply going to be just not for you. Just putting that straight up out there. All you're going to get here is accurate bass response, free from any semblance of muddiness or anything of that nature. Now, don't get me wrong, there is bass here, but it simply lacks the impact and rumble that I personally prefer when usually, listening to like my own favorite IEMs that use a dynamic driver. That's going to have a different texture to the bass, which is my own personal preference. But interestingly enough, using the X bass feature of my HiFi hip DAC, they have an X bass that kind of boosts the lower and mid frequencies. It really wakes them up and actually makes them sound perfect to my own listening preferences, which is kind of surprising. So they do have the ability to bring it out. And it gave it like added impact from the drums, and the bass guitars really did come to life. Now, it made the ERX feel much more warm and alive to my ears, but again, This is just personal preference for me personally. But if you want to see what I'm talking about, try this out by listening to Smoking Out the Window by Silk Sonic, and then toggle that X bass on and off. And you can literally hear the drums and bass guitars come to life, and then you just essentially turn them on and off. It's so weird, but you can tell that they actually do have it there. They can bring it out if you want, but you don't have to. Now, moving over to the mid-range, this is easily the most neutral mid-range that I've heard as well. Clean and free of any sort of bloat. Instruments and vocals sound natural and feel like a true representation of the actual recording. Singers still have presence without ever overpowering the instrumentation in the mix. Now, one of the tracks where this truly stood out to me was Me and Mr. Jones by Amy Winehouse, where the neutral nature of the RX kept everything from the vocals to the instruments right in their appropriate places. Another option for you here would be Hotel California Live from 1994 by the Eagles. That's also another excellent track. Now, last but not least, let's move over to the treble. Now, the treble here is crisp and precise. There's better detail retrieval than expected, yet still smooth enough to not be harsh or sibilant to my ears. Now, for those unfamiliar with clarity like this, you will be hearing details in voices and instruments that you never noticed before. Now, the ERX also have a nice width to the soundstage, and imaging was better than I expected, but perhaps this is par for course for Etymotic IEMs, so my lack of experience with their products might be showing here. But if you want to hear what I'm hearing with the treble, check out I Fall to Pieces by Patsy Cline, and then listen for the width and spaciousness in the soundstage, along with the clarity of the steel guitar in the mix, along with the organ. It's just sublime. You got to check that out. So overall, I would say, excellent sound quality if you're one of those people who are searching for an IEM that has excellent balance to the sound. Like if that's what you're looking for, if you're looking for something that doesn't have any bloat or any excess in any of the frequencies, then this is going to be the one that you're going to want to roll with. Now, let me give you, let me get ahead of myself here. Now, pricing on these guys, as you can see here, comes in at $249 right now. That's for the first 300 people that order these. That's an early bird price, and then it'll go up to $299. If you're interested in picking up a set of these, I've left both affiliate and non-affiliate links in the description down below. This way you can either choose to support my efforts on this channel or not. Either way, you're going to get what you want. So if you're in the market for a neutral IEM and prefer your sound accurate without any bloat, then the Drop Etymotic ERX are going to be the right option for you. However, before you make any final purchasing decisions, be sure to check out multiple reviews so you have a better idea of what you're getting yourself into. Now, if this type of sound is not your cup of tea and you prefer something with more impact and warmth in the tuning, sort of like I do, then I strongly recommend you check out my full review of the Moondrop Kato that I'm going to leave right up here on the screen. Now, with all that said, my name is Jefe, and I'm out this bitch.